Welcome. This is Cycology Today, and it's a TV show about bicycling in general and specifically about bicycle safety. I'm your host, Ann Morrow. I hope that Cycology Today inspires you to ride a bike, or if you're already a cyclist, to ride your bike more safely. We try to celebrate those in our community that have tried to incorporate bicycling into a career choice or into an entrepreneurial endeavor. And we try to support those that support cycling or also are avid in promoting safe riding. Before we meet our guests, I want to be sure and thank our crew behind the scenes and also our producer, Northwest Bicycle Safety Council. I am the president now of Northwest Bicycle Safety Council, and this spring we've been involved in the community having bike safety fairs, making sure that our young cyclists have safe bicycles and helmets on their heads and know the rules of the road. So I can assure you that there's several hundred more cyclists on the road, those little ones out there, that know more than they did before they came to our bike fair. So thank you for your support. We're now working on our annual event ride, Beaverton Banks and Beyond Bicycle Tour, and that's August 19th this year. And I really want to invite you to come out and join us on that ride. We're going to have a video later in the show that I think will entice you to come out. It's a goal that you can set for yourself regardless of what kind of a cyclist you are. And perhaps what we talk about this evening will give you a tool to make that even more possible come August. So let's meet our guests. We have Rich and Ruthellen Fein, and they own and operate Cynerygy e-bikes in Portland. So obviously we're going to be covering some of the basic information about electric bicycles. And I don't know about you, but I've been seeing a lot more of the e-bikes around, and it just really prompts a lot of questions in my mind. What is this all about? And what does it mean to me? So hopefully we'll answer some of your questions. So let's get started, and welcome Rich and Ruthellen.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm really glad that you were able to come. And I always like to start by just having my guests tell us a little bit about yourselves. So if you'd each take a turn and give us a little history.
Okay. Ruthellen and I have actually been married now, 32 years. So, and in the past we've been recreational cyclists. We actually came here from the Akron, Ohio area about 3.5 years ago, and so relatively new to the Portland area, but found this to be a very suitable place to open up an e-bike business. We came here specifically for that.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and welcome a little belatedly to the Northwest.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. So, What is it exactly that led you to Portland? I mean, you say that you felt, but what was it that was the pros and the cons kind of thing?
Well, Portland has a very good bicycling infrastructure. One of our focuses in terms of introducing e-bikes is we wanted to move to an area that would have a likely rate of acceptance of this type, and in order to do that you have to have a generally strong acceptance of cycling in the first place. Our focus primarily, not exclusively, but is on transportation, cycling for transportation, and Portland is pretty much known nationwide as having one of the best cycling infrastructures for transportation in the United States. So
sure.
It's also a pretty cool place to live as well. So.
Well, I think so. So, what do you ride? What kind of bikes do you guys ride these days?
Well, I ride not one like this, but a mid-drive diamond frame felt with a Bosch system. So it's just a nice, basic, recreational, well, really a commuter bike. So.
And Rich?
And I ride, it's an easy motion Neo Cross. I'm still riding, even though we can ride any bikes we want because it's our store, I'm still riding my 2014 Easy Motion Neo Cross. Basically, I want to run the thing down. I want to I want to experience what my own customers would experience by instead of switching bikes every year. I want to see how long it lasts, and so far it's been lasting just fine. So.
Wow, I like that business philosophy. That's pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about your shop.
Well, you want to?
We are in Southeast Portland, Powell and 39th, which is Cesar Chavez. We have, a lot of we have a bunch of bike brands. We have 11 different brands, and we have several models within.
I think it's about 25 different models on the floor now for people to test drive.
Bright, and people can come in and talk about the bikes, take them out for a test ride. We usually go with them, just to show them the fun hills that they can ride.
And even though we're at a busy intersection. If you go right around the corner from the shop, there's a hill right there.
There's a neighborhood behind there.
Right there. We picked the location so that people could find good, safe, hilly areas to ride in because hills are really where e-bikes shine.
Yeah.
So.
Certainly. And I'm glad you brought that up because I envisioned that corner and just thought, whoa, not a great place to...
Yeah, everybody comes in and says, I'm not going out there. And we say, no, you're not going out there. So.
Well, let's get to the basics of just kind of the e-bike 101 lesson. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the bikes, and I'll just kind of let you carry that a little bit.
Okay. Well, the basic premise behind it is that you have a motor, an electric motor, and a battery to it. And then on the handlebars, some sort of controls to them. You turn the bike on. A lot of people wonder if the bike charges itself. No, it doesn't do that. You plug it in. There's a couple of bikes that have some charging capabilities, but it doesn't work particularly well for that. So you charge the battery just as you would any rechargeable battery. Then you turn the bike on and you pedal. And it detects that you're pedaling and it gives you a boost, and you can control how much of a boost you want out of it. So, because
all the bikes. So what he's talking about is the pedal assist. All of the bikes have pedal assist. Some bikes have an additional boost through throttle or a boost button, but you get the most out of the bike by using the pedal assist power.
Now, I guess what makes me a little leery is that I've never ridden a motorcycle or anything like that, so all this stuff with my hands and...
You're not using that very much.
Okay.
You're pedaling to get the power. It's just like shifting. You shift on one side. You might hit a plus or minus button on the other side to get more power, less power, no power.
I'm already doing that with my bike. In a way,
right?
Shifting,
you are.
And braking and
it's
stuff.
Just the same. It's just one more control.
Right. When we take people out on a test ride the first time, we give them full instructions, and really not to make it sound too simple, but it is. It takes about a minute to explain to them how to use the bike.
Yeah, different bikes are different, so you'll see different controls on different bikes, but they basically have the same, 1 or 2, 3 different levels of assist. 4, it just depends on the bike.
So it's my understanding that there's the two types, and I think you kind of referenced that in your descriptions of your own bikes, that there's two types, motors in the hub and motors that are mid-drives that are kind of in relationship to the crank. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the differences, and I think you brought a sample of each type of bike.
Sure.
So let's talk about that part of it.
Okay. All right. Well, this over here. This is an Easy Motion Evo City Wave, just as an example, and this has a hub motor, a rear hub motor in the back is a point of comparison. This is a giant Quick E, and it has a motor coming off of the crank. So this is called a mid-drive system. Mid-drive and hub motor. There's advantages to each of them. Hub motors tend to actually be a little bit easier to use. You don't have to shift them as much. Now, for an experienced cyclist, that's not a major issue. But for somebody who's less experienced, ease of shifting or the need to shift less often can be of value to them. A mid-drive system over here, you'll need to shift it about as often as a regular bike. So in the old days, people used to say that mid-drives had better climbing capabilities. With the newer hub motors and the power that they have, they're about the same. Really, the number one advantage of a mid-drive over a hub motor is that when you take a look at this here, and if you can see right back here, there's no wires, there's no big motor hanging off of it.
Yeah.
It's a wheel.
Yeah.
And basically, if you ever have to change a spare tire or change a rear tire, it's the same thing as changing a tire on a regular bike.
Okay.
Whereas on this one, it's a little bit more complex.
Okay. Just the rear wheel.
The rear,
front wheel,
the hub motor.
same thing.
Right. So hub motor,
Yeah.
front wheels are the same.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right. So that's certainly something to consider when you're deciding
Yep.
how you're going to use the bike. So just generally, what's the price range of e-bikes these days?
Well, the bikes that we have start at about $1,200. For $1,200, you get a pretty nice bike. Still, it's something that we're proud of. It's still very reliable, even though it's our lowest cost bike. And the bikes, on average, most of them that we sell are in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. But we've got bikes, for example, full suspension mountain bikes that go $5,000 or more.
So that's the kind of thing that you're paying for, is other amenities on the bike for the most part. And is part of it how long the battery holds the charge is what you're paying for financially?
Yeah. How big the battery is, so how much range you get. You know, a larger capacity battery will get you more range, get you further on your ride, and you'll probably pay a little bit more for a bigger battery.
Sure.
You also, the more you pay, you get better bicycle components.
Okay.
You might get slightly better motor technology as well, but really battery capacity and bike components are what you find yourself paying more for as the price goes up.
So just like any other bike in that regard.
Exactly.
And you talked about charging it. Where do I charge it? Isn't that going to be an issue?
Were you talking about, where do you find a plug?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, don't I need some fancy thing that's out in the parking lot?
No, you just a regular 110 outlet is really all that you need.
The charger looks a little bit like a laptop charger, maybe just a little bit bigger. And they're all different. Each bike has its own charger.
Right. But the main thing is that you plug it in. Usually there's a little LED or some type of signal that the battery isn't yet charged. It might be a red LED, and when it's done, it turns green.
Sure.
And there's really nothing complicated about it. It's really pretty straightforward.
And it takes about anywhere from 3.5 to 6 hours to charge a bike.
So if I were a commuter, I could charge it while I'm in my office or
Definitely.
wherever
Right.
working,
Absolutely.
and come out and commute on home,
Yep,
and no
yep.
worries, and
And
plug
you
it
don't
back
have
in.
to have to charge it up the full amount either. You
Oh,
could
okay,
stop
sure.
if you're on a recreational ride. You could stop for lunch, plug it in for an hour, and get.
Give it a little boost,
boost.
just like we do play with our phones that way.
Yeah,
That's
a little
right.
bit here.
Yeah, now the difference, now of course you don't need to do this with a phone, but with one of these you can take the battery out too. You'll see an outline here, and it's locked right there. But you unlock it, and you can park the bike outside or in a bike garage or something like that. Take the battery in to work and just charge that.
Okay. Now, one concern I hear about the e-bikes is that then I don't get exercise riding my bike, and that's certainly when, I mean, I ride to eat, so I need to have the exercise element of it.
Okay.
What do you say to refute that concern?
I'll tell you an experience this morning. I was late to my exercise class, and I rode, and I was going about 17 miles an hour on the first level of assist, and I was pedaling pretty hard, and I was warmed up by the time I got to my exercise class. And, Yeah, I mean, you can get as much exercise as you want. Maybe it'll flatten the hills for people, but you can turn the power off. You can, make it as hard as you want. Mainly, you're getting those people who just would love to exercise, but that one hill, I'm not going to go on that ride because of that one hill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it gets somebody out riding where they may have skipped a ride before, then they're getting exercise that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Good point.
In addition to that, when you're using these for transportation, if you're using them as a replacement of a car in place of a car, I can't think of anywhere else where you're going to get less exercise than sitting behind the wheel of a car.
Good
so
point.
if you're on the road with one of these and you're still pedaling, you're still getting exercise you wouldn't get otherwise.
So what other prejudices or preconceived notions do people come in with, like the exercise
Right,
issue?
other than people think that it's cheating?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
People think that if they get on an e-bike, you don't have to pedal. And that's not true. You do have to pedal. And, it's not a scooter. It's,
right.
It's a regular bike.
Yeah.
People come in a little bit afraid to test ride. Oh, I've never been on an electric bike.
Yeah.
This is too scary. But no, it's just riding a regular bike. you know.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll just take people in a back alley and say, just we're not even going to turn the power on. You're just going to ride it like a regular bike. You're going to see that it's just like riding a bike.
Ease into it a little.
I will mention there are a few older e-bikes out there, and a few that have been modified where people put a throttle on them, and they just hold it, and they don't do any pedaling. Now, first of all, there are very few of those. They're probably the most visible because those people are kind of abusing what these are supposed to be used for. In Europe, you can't even have a throttle on an e-bike. But the people that are using those probably are creating a poor impression a bit about what an e-bike is or what an e-bike should be. So there are those that think that you don't have to pedal, but for most of them you do. I will mention an interesting story or situation that we've run across countless number of times, and that is we'll have couples come into our store, and typically you'll have, in a lot of these couples, you'll have one that's a serious rider and you'll have one who isn't, and the other one is getting it so they can ride with the more serious rider. The amusing thing is that we'll try to get the more serious rider to go out with us on a test ride, and they'll be hesitant to do so. Okay,
yeah, most of the, I don't need an e-bike.
I don't need an e-bike.
I don't need an e-bike either.
Right. And then once you get that serious rider on a bike, they come back with the same big grin on their face. Okay, and basically at that point they realize the potential of these, that it's not cheating, that it's a different form of riding, and they're fine.
Yeah. And bringing up that point about the couples, and I appreciate you're trying to make that point, but still, I've seen many couples who now can ride together and do an organized ride that they want to share together, and one isn't all stressed out because they can't keep up, and one isn't all grouchy because they have to wait for the other one. I mean, it really levels the playing field, and it's just been kind of heartwarming to see these couples participate in an activity that they wanted to, but without a little assistance, they could not make it happen without huge compromise.
Yep.
Right.
So it's pretty cool to see. So what do I need to consider about my own riding habits when shopping for an e-bike? What do I need to consider?
One is what are you going to use it for? Are you going to use it recreationally? Are you going to, how far of distances are you going in one time? The riding position. What kind of bike do you want? I mean, maybe your riding habit now, maybe you're used to a road bike with drop handles, but maybe that's not what you want next time. Maybe you want to be a little more upright. So, it's just depends on what it is that you're looking for,
So like buying anything, whether it's a car or a bike, you really need to think about the purpose.
Right.
no matter what. And sometimes people don't give it that much consideration, and they end up with the wrong thing. So that's good. Is that the kind of question that you ask?
We always ask. That's the first thing we ask, you know. But typically somebody will walk in and say, I want to know about e-bikes, or I'm looking for an e-bike. What do you have? I have a lot of e-bikes, and you know, we want to narrow that down for you. We don't want you to have to make that big, you know, you don't have to research every brand there is in the world, you know.
That's what we're for.
Yeah. I mean, so our questions are, yes, how are you going to use it? How do you see yourself? Right? Are you a commuter? How long is your commute? How many hills do you have? How steep are those hills? What part of town are you in? You know, where are you going to be riding out on gravelly roads? You know, you need a wider, heavier duty tire. You know, just there's a lot of narrowing that down, and then it's position, body, you know, the fit of the bike.
Also, how fast they want to go.
True.
There's two different classifications of bikes: those that have a top assist level of 20 miles per hour, and those that have an assist level of 28. So that's one other factor. And then, of course, there's the price range. What's their budget?
That generally enters in at some point in the game, doesn't it, for most of us?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been a bunch of good information to begin with, and so we're going to go to a safety video now, and because Northwest Bicycle Safety Council is all about safety, and then we'll come back with Rich and Ruthellen, and we'll talk some more about e-bikes and how they might be in your future.
Bicycling is one of America's favorite pastimes, yet like everything else, it has its risks. Every year, more children ages 5 to 13 go to hospital emergency rooms for injuries associated with bicycles than with any other sport. Many of these cases involve injuries to the head. Wearing a bicycle helmet can reduce the risk of head injury by an impressive 85%. So go ahead, enjoy the outdoors, but be sure to wear a properly fitted helmet, and remember to adjust it before every ride, or you won't be fully protected. If you will be buying new helmets, be sure from the label that they are CPSC certified. If you're using an older helmet, make sure it is Snell or ANSI approved. And there are even some dual certified helmets that can be used for bicycling and skateboarding. And whether there is a bicycle helmet law in your area or not, it's a smart idea for everyone to wear a helmet. And adults, it sets a good example for the kids. Once you have measured your head and chosen a helmet, adjust the sizing pads or the fitting ring for a comfortable fit without any rocking from side to side. The helmet should sit level on your head and low on the forehead, no more than 1 or 2 finger widths above the eyebrow. Adjust the lengths of the straps so the buckle is centered under the chin. Adjust the slider on both straps to form a V shape under and slightly in front of the ears. Lock the slider if possible. Buckle the chin strap and tighten it until snug. No more than 1 or 2 fingers should fit under the strap. At this point, double check to make sure that the helmet is secure and doesn't rock back and forth. If a big yawn doesn't pull down on your head, refer back to step 5 and tighten the chin strap. And if you just can't get the helmet to fit, try another one. Remember, a helmet can only protect your head if you wear it each time you ride. If you outgrow your helmet or are in a crash, replace it immediately or you won't be protected. With your new helmet properly fitted, you can ride with the confidence that you are getting the best protection possible.
So that's certainly great advice about the helmets and how to fit a helmet. And our shows are on YouTube, so if you couldn't follow along, you can pull up that video again through YouTube and watch it again while you stand in front of a mirror and make sure that your helmet fits correctly. And I'm sure that Rich and Ruthellen will agree that no matter what kind of a bicycle you're riding, that helmet is so important to your safety. And so we really, at Northwest Bicycle Safety Council, encourage you to wear a helmet regardless of whether you have to comply under the law because you're of that age, but we think they're really important. So we've been talking about the e-bikes, and you guys gave us a lot of good basic information, and we kind of touched on this subject, but let's kind of go into it in detail. So if I let the battery run down somehow, can I get the bike home by just pedaling it like any other bike?
It's just like riding a regular bike.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's easy. I mean, it's going to be a little heavier. You have a motor and a battery on top of a regular bike that adds about 15 to 18 pounds. But other than that, it's just like riding a regular bike.
Okay. So. And you've got gears, so maybe you're going to run some
Right.
different gears than you would with the assist.
Yep.
But you can probably get it home just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, both of these bikes, one of these is a 24-speed bike, the other is a 20-speed bike. So they'll, just as these as an example, they'll get you home just fine. You know, you might have to work a little bit harder, but then you've got your extra exercise.
Yes, yes.
So.
And it's probably my bumbling that made me get into that situation.
Well, they give you enough information as you're riding too. Most of these bikes, or a lot of them, will actually calculate how many miles you have left as well, and how many miles you have left at the various levels of assist.
Right.
So you can, you can stretch things out, and it gives you enough information to do that.
And if they don't have that, they all have battery indicators that show how much of the battery power is left. So you can, after you've ridden a few times or run down the battery a few times, you'll know about how far you can go.
Attention.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gas gauge.
Right, exactly.
It is.
Okay. So why don't we just kind of walk through the practical use. So I've got a 40-mile bike ride coming up this weekend. How am I going to get my bike ready for this ride? What do I need to think about?
Plug it in. That's about all you need to do, different from a regular bike.
Okay. And it's like you oil the chain
Right.
periodically.
Exactly.
You do
maintenance.
maintenance is just like any other bike. You'll just inflate the tires. Check the spokes, make sure they're not loose. Make sure everything's tight on the seat post.
But
and the
yeah,
stem.
if you got a 40-mile ride, which is not unusual, that's not real far on an e-bike.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them will now go farther than that, especially if you keep it in a medium to low level of assist. But yeah, just make sure it's charged.
Okay, that sounds doable.
Sounds easy.
So seriously, the ride that I'm going to do has some ups and downs. So if I was riding one of these, I might boost it up a little bit more on one of the hills so that I could make it up and consume a little more energy that way.
Correct.
From the battery, that is.
Right. But then you'd turn it off going down.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
it's
it
not using
balances
any when you go down. So whether you're coasting or a lot of them actually determine the level of assist by how hard you're pedaling. The harder you pedal, the more assist they provide. So if you're going downhill, you could be pedaling all you want. You're still not providing much pressure to it, so it's not going to use any power.
Boy,
either.
pretty smart, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
They've come a long way. So, in fact, speaking of coming a long way, share a little bit of the history of e-bikes with us. What's been the progression? And it seems like it's been pretty rapid fire the last few years.
Especially the last few years, but if you want to go back in time, we have a picture of a couple of guys riding a tandem e-bike with great big lead batteries, and it's dated 1897. Okay.
I'm not really surprised. By golly, we got 2 wheels. How can we make this go fast?
Right. And you needed 2 guys to do it because the batteries were so heavy back then. That's probably the only way that they could move it. Since then, really, probably they started to gain a little bit more usage in the late 1990s. Lee Iacocca, the former Ford and then best known for being a Chrysler auto executive, when he retired, had determined that electric bikes were going to be the clean transportation of the future. He started an e-bike company, and he actually is credited with giving electric bikes the name e-bike. He's the first company, his company was the first one to label the bikes e-bikes. Back then, still, they were using lead batteries for it. The batteries were very heavy. The motors were not lasting as long. They were using what was called brushed motors. And since then, they've switched to motors that are much more reliable. They're called brushless. They use much more electronic circuitry in them. And there's been a conversion to lithium-ion batteries that last much longer and are much lighter weight. Really, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, as lithium-ion batteries started to become more popular, that's really where the growth of e-bikes started to occur.
Yeah. Wow. What do you see in the future? What's kind of the trade talk of where this is going?
Slight improvements in motor technology. There is a little bit of a transition, gradual transition from hub motors to more mid-drive systems like this. But the biggest changes that you're seeing is you're getting more battery for the money, is better battery
and
capacity.
for the weight.
Yeah.
And I think one thing we'd like to see in the future, people ask us about it all the time, is solar chargers for your bike.
Oh, sure.
You can buy them now, but they're about as much as the bike.
But the cost will probably come down and they'll improve, no doubt, like everything else.
I mean, we'd like to see it sometime.
Yeah, I'm sure. So we kind of touched on this, and I think you've more or less answered the question, but what is the difference between an e-bike and a scooter? Because before you kind of explain this to me, I'm thinking, I haven't ever ridden a motorcycle or a scooter. I don't know how to do this. So what's the difference?
A scooter doesn't have pedals. You just twist
sit on
something and go. You has to be licensed. You can ride it. You can't ride it in a bike lane. And you it can go up to 35 miles, I think. Some scooters,
or maybe even faster.
So, as we said before, we've got 28 mile per hour bikes and 20 mile per hour bikes. You have to pedal them, or
no license is required. You can ride them in the bike lanes, and as far as learning to ride it, it's just like riding a regular bicycle. 95% of the components are just regular bike components, so it's a bicycle.
And I think I spoke to somebody that's a recent purchaser of an e-bike, and that whole commute thing and being able to get in the bike lane is a real advantage as far as time, because the cars are sitting there and he's over here going by them. And between the battery assist, the motor assist, and that, his commute is really faster.
Well, one of our favorite rides is going from southeast Portland, where we live, to downtown. And the reason is because we can beat the traffic, and then when we get there, we don't have to worry about parking. It's just
win-win-win.
Yeah. You get right to where you're going.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really becoming a huge issue. So, yeah. So, how are e-bikes clean, active transportation solution? Again, you touched on this,
yes,
how they could but let's talk more
about
that.
I actually ran some statistics on this. I used to be a data analyst in a previous life, so I dug into this. And I've run calculations in terms of how clean it is. as opposed to a single passenger or single occupancy gas powered vehicle. Basically, per mile, you can the carbon footprint of an e-bike compared to a car. I mean, there's still a carbon footprint to it.
Sure.
It's about 60 to 1. So 60 e-bikes equals 1 single occupancy gas powered car. So that's the the one thing. Smaller footprint, just like a regular bicycle, so that you're able to condense more people into a smaller space. You do not need to expand the road infrastructure as much as the population grows, which in Portland is a critical aspect because our population is growing, and they're talking about building more roads. If more people rode bikes in general, and e-bikes is part of that process, that solution as well. You don't have to build as much. You don't have as much asphalt.
Right.
So they all contribute to a cleaner environment and a healthier environment.
Well, and I would think with all the advantages that an e-bike might give, it might allow more people to not have a car. I mean, a lot of our guests don't own cars, but even adding this element into it.
Well, when we came here, we had 2 cars. We're down to 1, and it pretty much just sits in our driveway.
And yeah, so that's pretty impressive. And too, I think that there's e-bike, like cargo bikes too,
Correct.
aren't there?
Yes,
so
there is.
you can use them for business purposes or
it's the family
hauling.
minivan.
Yeah.
So right. So it's great. The families come in, the kids come in, and it's very popular for them.
Yeah.
Much easier for them to get around, drop the kids off at school. It's a much easier way to go.
Yeah.
And with, I mean, there's regular cargo bikes, non-electric cargo bikes, of course, but when you're hauling all of that additional precious cargo, especially going up the hills, the electric assist definitely comes in handy.
That would be huge. Yeah, that would make something that wasn't so doable suddenly doable.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And how might efficiency and other factors persuade commuters that that's a better way to go? I think you kind of answered that question, but the idea that speed, like I brought up that my friend mentioned, the speed and the load carrying.
Right.
Do you have any customers that are commuters that expressed how that's altered their commute favorably?
We have several that have now switched. Before they might have commuted once. A summer, realized how hard that was. But now with if they've got 10 miles or so, that's a long bike ride in the morning when you don't really feel like being that sweaty when you get to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got several who've just they have long commutes and they're just in love with what they're doing.
We have a video on our website that has it was an impromptu testimonial from one of our customers in which how she talks about how her 15-mile one-way commute has transformed her life. Those are her words on it. Basically, she feels great getting to work without working up a big sweat. She stays active. She feels better. And really, whether it's 2 miles or 15 miles, people are very happy to transform their commute to something where they're still staying active with this. But again, as Ruthellen said, not being sweaty getting there, being able to carry a load with them, being able to drop off the kids easily while still being on a bike, not having to deal with the traffic.
And not being too tired at the end of the day to get on their bike and go up the hill home, because a lot of people are going downhill to work.
Yes,
right.
That's
especially in this town.
And then they have to climb to get back up, and it's just, they're like, oh, I'm so tired at the end of the day, and now they have more time when they get home to spend with their families.
Right.
I'm sure that's true. Okay, well, thank you. All right, so that concludes this segment. We're going to go to another video, and this is the one I talked to you about. It's about our Beaverton Banks and Beyond bicycle tour that's coming up on August 19th. We've got some great footage from the 2016 edition of that ride. It's going to be pretty much the same in 2017. So if you like what you see, Go to our website and sign up for the ride. Well, that's our Beaverton Banks and Beyond bicycle tour in a nutshell. and we'll have pretty much the same ride this year. It's a ride that you can really customize. It starts in Beaverton, obviously, and you saw the quaint little city of North Plains, and then Banks, who just really wants cyclists to come through their little community. The Banks Vernonia Linear Trail, Stubbs Stewart State Park, where we have a rest stop that's up kind of a challenging hill. If you had an e-bike, you just kind of bump it a notch and just go right up there. And then you go on to Vernonia and take some extra little loops. So it can be a full century, or it can be just whatever you want. It's a ride that you customize to be what you want it to be on that day. And I know that a lot of riders this year, with the horrible winter we've had, are kind of downgrading their rides this spring because they just don't have the training. Hopefully by August 19th, you'll be able to be the rider you want to be at that point and can do the ride you want to do. But please do come out and join us. We'll take good care of you. We have some great sponsors. You'll see a list of them at the end of the show. We'd love for you to be out there on Beaverton Banks and beyond. But you might kind of think about the ride and an e-bike. You've got time to make that all happen too, if that's what you need to enjoy cycling. So we're back with Rich and Ruthellen Fein, and we're talking about e-bikes. And so they've really given us a lot of information, but I do want to share something that I talked to some Portland wheelmen this weekend about cycling, and a lot of us have biked for many, many years, and we've gone through many, many bikes. And one of the women that was on the ride commented when I asked if they'd thought about e-bikes, and she said, why should I give up something I love just because I've gotten older and can't really ride as strongly? And I really like that philosophy. I mean, you don't have to give up biking just because you're not as strong. Maybe, physically you're not so able. There's just options for you. So don't just give up. Look into these things. So why don't you tell us about some of your customers? I'm sure you have many that haven't given up on biking. They're trying the e-bike. Who's buying the e-bikes?
Oh, boy. Our customers are very diverse. We've got young families with cargo bikes. We've got commuters. We've got, we were just talking about this, there's a woman who recently bought a bike because her doctor said she needed to get more exercise, and she's been commuting back and forth to work. I think it's about a 12-mile each way commute.
Whoa.
And she's lost a lot of weight in just a short amount of time, and she loves it. She just loves being outside, and she was not a commuter before. So
we have another gentleman who he ended up having to give up his car for a while.
Okay.
And switched to an e-bike. He was a pretty big guy, and decided to use this as a form of transportation, and he went down from 300 to about 270 in a little bit more than a month, and really never wanted to turn back to his car in the process. So another great health story out of this. In terms of other types of customers that we get in, basically we break them out into different groups. We have the commuters and the recreational riders, and we have a large number of both. I'll mention that for the recreational riders, they get them for recreation, but then they decide after they start using it how great they are, maybe for commuting, maybe not. But if they got to run to the store, now they've got a nice quick vehicle for doing that. So there's a lot of crossover between the two.
Right. There's a customer who recently came in for a tune-up, and she had purchased a folding bike so that she could take it with. They could take it with them when they went in their RV or on trips. And she got a different job in which her commute was maybe 6 miles each way, and she decided to start on her, and she rides this folding bike for 6 miles each way every day now. It's like it's like she loves it, and people, they have this feeling afterwards. It's like, I just love riding my bike now. Whereas I guess you said you shared a study that said that people who buy e-bikes ride them more than if
About twice as often, put on about twice as many miles as on regular bikes.
That makes sense, especially the stories that you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just
Correct.
easy, and you're not going to get all sweaty.
Right.
And yeah.
And they've actually even done health studies of specific health effects of this, and they find that people's hearts are getting stronger. Their heart rates are slower. I guess they've actually done studies that compared this, where they took some relatively unhealthy people at the beginning, gave them e-bikes, and I think there was another control group with regular bikes. And the fact of the matter is they weren't riding the regular bikes as much as they were riding the e-bikes, and so they were healthier and became healthier in the process. Another part of this, another interesting demographic in the cycling industry as a whole, there's more men that buy bicycles than women.
Yes.
Typically, I think right now the trend has been moving up for women overall for regular bikes. It used to be like 35-65. Now it's about 40-60 or maybe a little more. Probably 50% of our customers are women. So it's just about a 50-50 split. So greater distribution of women compared to the cycling business as a whole.
So you feel so women are feeling that this little assist is going to make the difference for them to make this work for them. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think that's it. And
that's part of it. I think people, women especially, feel a little more comfortable coming into a shop that, traditionally bicycle shops might be geared a little more toward men, and I think at least our shop, I know other shops, it's more inclusive. It's more.
I see, and that does make sense. That sometimes a bike shop, I mean, bless them all, but they can be a little gear oriented, and that's just not why I'm really in there. And so you're right, you're kind of down to the basics maybe more.
And also because of the functionality of it and the benefits that it provides, especially if you're talking about it on the commuting end of it. It's an unfortunate, well, I don't know if you want to call it an unfortunate fact. It's a fact. Women tend to have to prepare themselves a little bit more for the working day based on the way that they dress, the makeup, their hair, everything else, in which maintaining that appearance is easier on an e-bike than it is on a regular bike.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't have that helmet on your hair so long, it doesn't get those weird things.
Well, some people don't have to worry about a helmet.
Well, not just you.
Well, I wanted to share, and we talked about this before the show. I talked to a woman that bought a bike with you, and she did our Pioneer Century, Portland Wheelman's Pioneer Century on June 3rd. And she came into the Clackamas County Fairgrounds just grinning from ear to ear. And as I said, it's not a fair comparison to compare her 2016 ride when it was 100 and some degrees and she was dehydrated and a mess and had to be sagged into the fairgrounds because she just could not complete the ride. But this year it was cooler and all that. But she had her e-bike and she was so thrilled and so happy and just exuberant about her ride. And she didn't, while there's not a lot of hills, there's some ups and downs that previously would cause her a lot of grief and frustration. And she just cruised right through that ride. And she's one that her husband is a much stronger rider. And now they both had a good day of riding. And they're doing some sort of international ride this summer. And she's already ordered an e-bike for that event that'll be waiting for her wherever it is they're going. And so now she's not worried about the training and can I do this and what about my husband and all that. She's just, oh yeah, we're doing this ride and I've got the e-bike for me.
It's a lot less anxiety.
Yes, yeah.
So.
But yet you're not forsaking fitness. I mean, you've given a lot of examples, so that's really great.
It's just nice to be out there in the fresh air.
Yes.
And riding, an e-bike or a regular bike. It's just nice to see what's going on out in,
It really is,
in the
isn't
world.
it? Well, just briefly then, we're just about out of time. Are there any safety factors that are unique to e-bikes, or is it pretty much the same as a regular bike?
Well, first of all, I'd say that the main thing is don't get too bold with it. You have the ability to get through intersections easier. That doesn't mean that you should storm through intersections, yet at the same time, we actually feel that e-bikes are safer than regular bikes. And the reason for that is that when you're going up a hill, you can focus more on maneuvering the bike than propelling the bike. And it gives you have more control over it. But on the other end of it, with that control and that power, don't abuse it. So that's the other part of it. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you both, Rich and Ruthellen Fein, and talking about e-bikes. And I know that I've learned a lot, and I've been intrigued. Now I'm way more intrigued. Thank you for joining us and giving us this kind of discussion about e-bikes.
well, thank you.
Thanks
Ann.
for having
Very
us.
much.
Really been
It was
interesting.
fun.
So I hope that you, our viewers, have gotten some information about e-bikes and are kind of intrigued about this whole thing, and look into it as a possibility. As Ruthellen was saying, it's just so great to be outside on a bike, and you find the bike that's going to work for you, and if it's an e-bike, then good for you. We're really not prejudiced about it at all. We just want you out there. And Portland Wheelmen, a lot of the wheelmen I know are getting them. A lot of Vancouver Bicycle Club members are getting them. Because as we get older, it enables us to continue our passion of bicycling. So what's better than that? So I want to thank you for joining us, and please come out and ride with us. Both Bruce Buffington and myself, involved with Northwest Bicycle Safety Council, offer rides, and we'd like you to come out and ride with us. So go to pwtc.com, look for our names, and come ride your bike.